Back in the 90s, when you talk about cars with your friends, the word Cupra came up at some point of the conversation. You always mean the powerful motorized Seat, the counterpart to the Volkswagen GTI at that time. The word Cupra came about in the 90s from the Seat Cup Racing series, so the word Cup Racing now became the word Cupra. Logical. Vehicles like the Seat Leon and Seat Ibiza symbolized Seat's high-performance spearhead with the addition of Cupra to their name. These were vehicles that stood out from this large Seat crowd due to their own powerful appearance and driving performance.
Yeah, until Cupra decided in 2018 to switch to the dark side of the might, join the team Decepticon and release their first own model, the Cupra Formentor, which is the cousin second-degree mother side of Megatron. In September 24, on the America's Cup in Barcelona, Cupra released their second model, the Cupra Terramar, which is the name from a racetrack in Catalonia. Yeah, a racetrack. I mean, that's the same thing like Volkswagen decide to release a car that calls Nürburgring, and then they show up with this, an SUV. Ridiculous. Oh man, I don't know. Should we be talking about the front design? Because I mean, take a look. It's the same front. The one car looks like the other. Okay, this one has a black nose, but that only because this is the performance car and this not. If this car will be also a normal one like his, believe me, it will be the same front. I mean, how boring. Anyway, let's take a closer look to the front of the Terramar. And so when you take a look on it, you realize this is the new Cupra face, okay? It looks like a shark with an open mouth. Same story like by the facelifting Formentor. And you also have, in case of this, in the center part, the Decepticon emblem. But the rest looks the old way. Same design language on the bonnet, same design language on the headlights, and even on the light signature. Only this part here is a little bit bigger and looks a little bit more different than by the smaller brothers, but the rest pretty the same. And in case of this, it doesn't make sense really to talking about the front design because we already knew it. Let's talking about the side design. Oh yes, finally, this is a standalone side view. It is no more this exotic side view like by the Formentor, but on the second view, it has some similarity to his brother, the Tiguan. Doesn't matter. The design language is a perfect melting together between Cupra and Volkswagen design. And that's really what I like about this car from the side view. It has those brand new designed 20-inch wheels which fits perfect in these big wheel arches. And also, the rooftop line is higher for a better getting in and out for those sporty families who decide to buy this car. Same story in the back. A big back door with a big hole for the kids to better jump in and out. What do you want more from this sporty SUV? It is the perfect side view. The best comes to the end. Ta-da! What a back view. With the big, nice looking rooftop spoiler that gives on the car some kind of coupe lines from the side. And also the new design element, this new backlights with those 3D LED light signature. And in the middle, a lightened Decepticons emblem. Cupra emblem. When you go down, you see this big diffuser. But what I miss in case of this, where are the exhaust pipes? I mean, this is a car that calls like a racetrack. Where are the exhaust pipes? Anyway, so all in all, a really sporty looking back. And Cupra decided from now on no more to call their models with the name on the trunk. They, from now on, call their name of the models on the side, left and right, by the headlights. I mean, wow, that's standalone. So I was already driven all the Cupra Formentors with all engines. Starts by the 1.5 with 150 horsepower until the legendary and very fun to drive VZ5 with the legendary RS3 engine with 390 horsepower. What a car, okay? So I drove them all. And in case of this, I could remember like it was yesterday, the first time when I was driven a Cupra Formentor. The expectation that I have on this car, because it belongs to the family of the SUVs, was it will be a Swami feeling from the way how it drives, okay? It is a sporty looking compact or sport SUV or urban SUV, call it however you want to call it, but it still is an SUV, and the most SUV drives very Swami and comfortable when you drive them, especially when you drive them sporty. And so I was really surprised as I drove the first kilometers with the Cupra Formentor, how sporty this car feels to me. It doesn't feel like an SUV, it feels more like a compact sports car, compact sports hatchback. And so the question by the Terramar was pretty the same one, but now in the other direction. The question to myself was, this car drives similar or some kind of similar to the Cupra Formentor? Because I mean, it's a car who has the name from a racetrack, and it also looks somehow very similar to the Cupra Formentor, just a little bit bigger, okay? And I need to say, after the first kilometers in this car, the answer is yes, definitely. It drives very, very similar to the Formentor. It is more on the sportier than on the comfortable side of the road. It is still very direct, the way how it drives. You still have some feedback, okay? Don't get me wrong, not that kind of feedback that you have by a sports car, never. But compared to this, that this is a SUV, yes, it is definitely a car, an SUV that gives you feedback when you're driving it a little bit sportier. So you have the idea what could happen, or how's the condition on the tarmac, or do I have grip or not, okay? And I like it, I like it. It's not that what I was expected, because I thought it will be more comfortable, but in this case, no, it's not more comfortable, it's more sportier than comfortable. But it's okay for me, because I think the classic clients who decide to buy this car are young sporty families. They don't want to buy a boring Volkswagen Tiguan. And when we're already talking about the Tiguan, I mean, this car plays in the same game, in the same category like the Tiguan. It is different world, okay? Because the Tiguan is a boring car to me. It is a nice looking car, but it's really a classic boring family car, classic boring family SUV that drives much more comfortable than sportier. And this here, it's the opposite way. It drives more sportier than comfortable. And I think that's so fresh. That's what I like, really. Because the most SUVs drive like the Tiguan, comfortable and boring, okay? But the rest feels great. I love really the way how this car drives. In case of this, that this is a family car and not a sporty driving machine. And don't get me wrong, doesn't matter how sporty it feels. It also makes this good balance between sportiness and comfort. So you can go and drive long distance drives, and in the same way you can also decide to go away from the highway and drive a little bit sporty, twisty roads like those that we drive now, because it lets you drive sporty. I think this is a car for somebody who really love to buy the Formentor, but in case of he has family and he needs space, he's not able to buy a Formentor, so he decided to go for this car. And it's a good idea, because you have those sporty DNA from a Formentor. You have also some kind of that, how you want to call it, design language from the Formentor. It reminds on the Formentor, especially in the front. And you have the benefit of more space, so you can drive with your family around, and also took a lot of stuff and baggage with you in the trunk. And so all in all, it's a great decision from Cupra to create this car, to bring it out on the market. But I really think they choose the wrong name for this car, because I mean, this car has nothing to do, really nothing to do with the racetrack that his name sits on it. And it's somehow a kind of a false promise that Cupra gives to the clients with this name. I really need to say, after sitting 1 hour in this car, how special it feels to sit behind this steering wheel in this cockpit that is more turned to you. It is somehow completely created in the direction of the driver. So you feel somehow like you are separated from the rest of the car, separated from the passenger, and it gives you this feeling like you are a part of this car. In combination with this great looking and great feeling steering wheel that we already know from the Cupra Formentor, for example, hey, it feels special. It feels special. But you realize it after really sitting for 30 minutes or 1 hour in this car, how special it feels, okay? It also manipulates you after a time to drive a little bit more sportier, because it gives you this sporty feeling, okay? The whole ambience in this car is somehow turned to you. It sits in your direction and it talks all the time to your eyes and your visibility. Don't get me wrong, but I nearly want to complain it to the old MK4 Supra, which also had this great cockpit that is turned to the driver, somehow far away, similar in this kind of design language. It is great.
The Cupra Terramar is sent into the race with 5 motorizations, which are divided in 2 divisions. In the combustion engine division, we have the Cupra Terramar 1.5 ETSI, which it produces 150 horsepower and has a mild hybrid system, as well as the 2.0 TSI, which is available in 2 power stages. Once with down-to-earth 204 horsepower and once with the powerful 265 horsepower. Both 2.0 TSI engines are offered with the 4x4 system. In the second division, the so-called alternative drive division, there are 2 plug-in systems available, both with the 1.5-liter engine with 150 horsepower and 177 horsepower each. But what has to be said here is that both variants have an electric motor, which is able to pump 116 horsepower into the game, produce peak performance of 272 horsepower with 400 Nm of torque. In addition, the electric drive is capable with a fully charged battery to cover 110 kilometers purely electrically.
Let's talk shortly about the noisiness in this interior, okay? So it is not the classic way or noisiness that you have in a comfortable car or an SUV, okay? It is not loud, but you hear practically everything that happens out on the street, okay? You hear the engine, you hear the tarmac, how the wheels are rolling on the tarmac. And when it's windy, you also hear it in the interior. And I think I didn't expect it. I thought it will be more isolated. But what I forget is, yeah, this car is sporty. It drives some kind of sporty. It's more on the, like I said, more on the sportier side of the life than on the comfortable side. And in case of this, I think it will be wrong when a car like this that drives so sporty for that it is an SUV would be extremely isolated and will tell you nothing about it, what happens outside on the street. And so in case of this, yeah, I understand it, and it's okay. But if you are somebody that really want to drive long-term drives, I mean really to drive kilometers, many kilometers with this car, this is something that you maybe should pay attention and first test drive the car to find out if it's not maybe a little bit too noisy for you. Because I could really imagine that there are some clients out there that would say at the end, yeah, this car is definitely too noisy for me to drive long-term distance drives. Also depends on which kind of engine do you have in this car, of course. If you have the 1.5 liter engine, then it will be much more noisier. If you have, for example, the 2.0 liter engine with the plug-in hybrid and all that stuff, yes, then it will be also more isolated, because normally those engines and the mild hybrid system made less noise than a regularly 1.5 liter engine. Let's talk about the cherry on the top. And in my eyes, by this car, it's definitely the interior. Okay, that's such a special interior. The first time when you sit in, so in my case, it was wow, okay? First, the colors that you have here inside. You have 4 colors. You have this Cupra stylish bronze, you have black, you have some kind of gray titanium, which looks like it's perforated, and then you have, in case of this interior, some bluish leather. You can have this interiors in 3 colors: bluish or gray or some kind of red, brown, something like this. So, and in this case, it's the blue interior. And what is very, very special in this interior is, so when you sit in as a driver, you realize everything inside is oriented to you. Everything looks to you. And this gives you that great pilot feeling, like a pilot from a fight jet. Same story here, okay? Everything looks to you, everything is small, compact, and looks sporty. And what is really very special, I mean, I sit already in so many interiors. After you spend some time in this interior, you realize more and more, so after 20 minutes, how your whole feeling is start to melt it together with the feeling of this interior. You have the feeling from minute to minute, it melts you and the interior more and more together, okay? Doesn't matter, you doesn't have to focus on the interior because you have to focus on the street, but it works somehow with time on you, and it's getting more comfortable and comfortable. You start to feel more comfortable and comfortable as a driver in this interior, okay? Really a great interior. With the classic Cupra steering wheel, which still looks nice and modern. I really like it. With the hard buttons, not those touch-sensitive buttons like we have it in the last preview from the Audi A5. So here really the buttons make sense, and really if you want to push them, you push them, and it doesn't happen that you when you operate on the steering wheel that you push some button that you don't want to push, okay? Start button on the steering wheel and drive select button on the left side, and perfect. Also with the gear change pedals, perfect. What I really love about this interior is we still have here, in modern times, in the year 2025, a cockpit. Because nowadays cars has always some kind of a virtual cockpit, a curved display from here to here, and no more a classic cockpit like you have it here. And this here is so well made, it's so well designed. It looks so nice. It gives you this sporty feeling in the interior. Doesn't matter, this car is not a sports car. It just have the name from a racetrack. But it gives you this sporty feeling inside. That fits really great to the whole philosophy of this interior. What's a little bit sad is this big 12.9-inch display, which disturbs the line of the cockpit, because it's such a nice line from left to the right, and then in the middle part this big screen pops out. It looks like you throw it on the top, but I mean, okay, that's the standard by all Volkswagen cooperated cars. Same story also here. And it's a big display with a lot of icons and apps, and it doesn't make sense to operate it until you're driving. Okay, you have so many functions, but it also confuse you, okay? So when you want to drive and you want to operate here, it's dangerous. Same story also when you want to set the climate settings, because it doesn't have those satellites where you can turn on the air condition, the temperature, and where it should blow and all that stuff. Everything is now operated by this display, and that's a little bit sad. I know it's modern, it looks nice, it looks very clean in the middle part in case of this, but it's very dangerous to operate while you're driving. So please always stop the car, set your settings on the climate control or music or whatever, and then start to drive, okay? Yeah, that's a little bit unpractical. But back to the interior, okay? What I also need to say is the colors of this whole entertainment system, okay? It looks very colorful, but it looks nice, okay? It fits to the soul of this car. It is not like by Volkswagen or Skoda, just 2 or 3 colors. You have different kind of colors, and this a little bit helps you to operate and to find really fast out, green is telephone, blue is media and radio, and yellow is example for the seats and stuff like this. That was a great idea, okay? So let's come to the middle part of the car, to the middle console. And the first thing you realize here, you have here some kind of sculptured line from this titanium perforated whatever. It looks so modern. It looks like a sculpture, really, like a piece of art. Feels a little bit cheap because it's plastic, but it gives you also this feeling you're sitting in a cockpit from something special. Unfortunately, we doesn't have anymore the shift stick. So like by all Volkswagen Incorporated brands, you have now the shift operator here on the right side on the steering wheel. It's practical, but it's somehow without any emotions, okay? Because, I mean, nothing is sportier in the interior than a shift knob. And I miss that really, because it fits perfect to the whole interior. So what we have here are cup holders without any option to cover it. That's also a little bit sad, because if it doesn't have nothing inside, you could cover it. It looks much more nice and cleaner. 3 buttons, including the handbrake. And what is also special, you have there the button for turn off the traction control in the middle part for quick operation, because by the newer cars it's always hidden somewhere in the settings, in the computer, or somewhere on the left side where really you need to search for it before you need to deactivate it. So in this case it's like old school by the older cars. It's in front of you, you cannot miss it. But it's sad because it doesn't make sense. I mean, that's an SUV that has the name from a racetrack, and that's already it, okay? But yeah, a good idea, a nice detail. And in the middle part, you have also the possibility to charge your phone and put some stuff here inside. Middle console, also a little bit with storage, with a storage compartment, a small one for a car like this, and armrest. And let's talk shortly about those special looking seats, which are standard in this car. What means you need to pay nothing more to have them. And the way how they look, it's spectacular, okay? Doesn't matter which color you choose, in this case it's bluish. It looks so spectacular. It feels great. It also feels great when you sit inside, even after 2 hours. It feels so comfortable. You have so much side support. A funny thing about the whole interior are the materials, because the most materials inside are recycled materials, okay? And the other thing is the leather is now vegetable tanned leather. Yeah, I think it's funny because when you think about it, that this is a car that has a nose from a shark, from a mean looking shark, and has the emblem from the Decepticons, which are the bad boys, including that it has the name from a racetrack. When you put all that together, okay, and then you're talking about recycled materials and vegetable tanned leather, I think that's a funny detail because it doesn't fit together. You know, that's some mean looking car with a mean name, okay, and then you put stuff like this inside, which is not bad, but it doesn't fit. The whole philosophy doesn't fit together, but doesn't matter. All in all, a great interior that you will be loved. You will be loved to spend a lot of time inside, to use it daily, to drive with this car to holidays or holiday trip or whatever. And there are really not many cars out there with such a nice designed interior. I mean, also take a look at this when you want to open the door openers. They're looking like they are in the air. like nothing is holding them. Same story here by the left side armrest. From the middle part, it starts to floating somehow in the air. I mean, those are really details and ideas which this designer put in this car that gives him this special flair. So let's take a look in the back. And the first thing you realize when you sit in the back, you have a lot of space everywhere. Up, left, right, in front of you. I mean, I'm 180, big, tall, and I was sitting in the front, and take a look. I still have a lot of space, okay? A thing that I don't like when you sit in the back, and I realize it right now, are the overview, okay? Because those great, nice feeling and great looking seats that you have in the front are right now from the back. If you take the back view, you realize how massive they are. They are really massive. And in case of this, they somehow took a lot of the view that you can have as a passenger in the back to the front. They take a 40% is taken away by the way, because these seats are so massive, okay? So you sit here in the back and you realize, okay, the view in the front is really bad. Okay, what's about the view on the side? And you realize that thing is the first thing that you see when you take a look outside of the window. Because I mean, normally this is the way how you're sitting back to the back in the car, and the way how you look out directly to the window. In this case, it's here. So if you want to take a look out to the window, this is the way that you should move. And I think that's not so nice, okay? So all in all, it's a great feeling in the back, but the overview is very bad. And I think for long driving in this car, for the back passenger, it's not a pleasure, not an enjoyment, because they will use this time to sleep, okay? Because the overview, all in all, is really bad that you have here, okay? Always you need to make this move to take a look out of the windows, and that's sad. What I also like in the back part is you still have those four colors. You have this classic bronze color that you have in the front. You have black, you still have blue. The materials feels a little bit cheaper than in the front. Everywhere hard plastic, but I mean, okay, don't forget what you pay for this car, okay? This is not a Rolls-Royce. And you have also options in the back as a passenger to charge your phone and to set your own climate control in the back. Then the armrest, same story like by the Audi. It's sadly, you doesn't have any cover here to cover it up if it doesn't have nothing in the cup holders, because it's uncomfortable. Anytime you want to put your arm on the armrest, it always goes in one of those holes, and that doesn't feel nice, okay? Especially when you drive longer distances with this car in the back. I think that's sad. That was something that could be so easily fixed by those car manufacturers. Yeah, but all in all, also a great space with less overview, less possibilities to take a look outside and enjoy the drive. What is really sad, but all in all, it's a great place to be. What is also special by this car in the back is you can move the seats left and right in which position you ever like. And that really, the movement is really a lot, okay? You can also set the backrest in which position you like, more comfortable or regular, and that gives them really that quality that you need for long-term drives. What is also important is that the movement of the whole seat also has an impact in the trunk, so means to the back. And that's the next thing that we want to take a look. And because you have those special movable seats in the back, you can also, in case of this, manipulate the volume of the trunk. What means if you have it in the normal position, the back seats, we're talking about 450 liters. If you move them to the front, we're talking about 540 liters. And when you also then take the basement, the trunk floor, one level down, we're talking about 630 liters. So you see, you have a lot possibilities to play around with the volume of this trunk. When you fold then the seats down, we're talking about 1,500, 1,600 liters. And that is special for a car that you decide to buy for you and your family. to driving around, to go to holidays, or maybe to transport some stuff with this car.